I would just be like, no, I actually have you muted. LOL.
So then why
Like
don't
you've been posting quite a bit.
So why haven't you done that with me?
Because I don't have you muted.
But do you think I post much?
No.
Okay.
Do you?
No.
I don't think you post at all.
No.
You're pretty absent right now.
Isn't therapy? This is not therapy. This is not therapy. This is not therapy. This isn't therapy.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hi.
And welcome back to another fun,
Flirty.
fabulous
Episode
of This Isn't Therapy. I went low.
I went high.
The podcast about all the stuff people are talking to their therapists about.
That's right.
My name is Jake Ernst, and I'm a therapist. Who are you?
Oh my goodness. My name is Simon Palick, and I am not a therapist. Like, who am I? What a big question. But don't worry. Together, Jakey and I, we're just two friends who like to have casual Kelly couch conversations about therapy themes. So each week on this pod, we put our grubby little paws into the therapy room. We pull out a theme, a factoid, a conversation, and then we bring it here to the pod and we just chit chat about it. Why?
Well, it's because therapy themes are everywhere you look.
That's right.
That's right. And today,
Yes.
what therapy themes are we pulling out today, good sir?
Well, there's this show on Netflix
Hello, hi.
that you watched early on as soon as it came out, but it took me like a hot minute to watch it. It's called Wayward. It was created by Mae Martin. If you haven't seen it already, plug, go watch it. And I watched it for the first time.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. I was first drawn to it because of the therapy themes.
The therapy themes.
The therapy themes that were everywhere I looked when I
especially in that
started
one.
watching.
Yeah.
So just as a plot, it's about a therapeutic therapeutic program.
Yeah.
Where troubled teens are sent away
Yeah.
for bad behavior as a way to correct or treat a lot of their issues, let's call
Yes.
them. And so in this facility, there are a collection of kids. At first, I actually thought that the program was called Wayward or the facility was called Wayward.
No, it's called Tall Pines Academy.
It's Tall Pines Academy.
Yeah.
And it has Toni Collette in it as one of the leads.
Yeah.
And she is absolutely phenomenal in that role.
Yeah.
I just think it's such a good match for her. And so she's ooky spooky, a bit creepy. And I think that she really brings the therapy themes really to life and to the forefront of the plot at each episode.
Yeah.
And so it's directed by a Canadian.
Directed by a couple Canadians.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mae Martin is Canadian.
Is Canadian.
And there are some others.
They created it.
Love
They wrote it
Love it.
along with some other writers, and they star in it. And it's a Netflix Canada show, but it's obviously available in Netflix wherever you get it. But filmed in Canada too. So there are some familiar spots that we recognize. It starts off in Toronto,
A lot of CanCon.
and then they go to Vermont.
Yes.
But it's just I'll see if people recognize where they're filming it, because other Canadian shows have filmed in this area too. So
TorontoCon, CanCon.
TorontoCon, CanCon, but it was kind of cool.
Yeah,
So
we
it's
love
anyways, we'll get into it, because I think why I wanted to bring it to the pod too is just because I was like, there's obviously like therapeutic things that happen in the show, and I was like, are these real? Are these real things? So I kind of want to talk to you, our resident expert,
Of
about
course.
it. But that's only just segment one.
Segment 2
So what's Seggy 2?
is going to be, we're going to be talking about this new sort of signifier, this new identity that people are putting on guys called the performative male.
Performative male?
The performative male.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so in segment 2, we'll read a definition. We'll talk about what that looks like and how I think it is sort of impacting relationships and culture and even friendships too. It's pretty fascinating how this idea or this new identity is sort of reshaping how we see each other and maybe talk to each other.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Okay, so there you have it. Wayward, segment 1. Performative male, segment 2. Cannot wait to see how we thread the needle between those two.
There it is. Okay, let's take a quick break and we'll BRB.
Okay, be right back. Stay.
Okay,
Wow, that's sponsorship.
we're back, baby.
We are back. Okay. So Wayward.
Yes, back to it.
So there might be spoilers in here. So maybe watch it before listening to this. There might be not, because I don't really want to talk about the plot. I want to talk about like the therapy things that are happening in it and whether or not they're actually factual. So first off, the whole idea of the Tall Pines Academy, it's a therapeutic boarding school, residential treatment center, and there's especially like this wilderness component where they're kind of like sent to this school in the woods. Are these places real? These residential treatment centers?
Yeah.
These are real.
Yeah. We have less of them in Canada. There's a ton in the US.
Okay.
But yeah, Canadians can also get sent to the US to participate in these programs. And so in Canada, I think we do have to kind of talk country to country.
Okay.
There's a bit of a different culture around this kind of stuff. But yeah, these fit into residential treatment programs where people go and live at the place where they're being treated. And so sometimes that is inpatient in hospital, and some of it is outpatient, where people access those programs and go into those programs. And then some of them are residential, where people are living on site.
And they're specifically for like troubled teens.
Well, they can be for all ages. We have them for people who want to access different treatment centers. If you think about just like sort of your classic rehab, I think it is also modeled, these schools, they're modeled after rehab programs, and they borrow a lot from some of the modalities used in rehabilitation programs.
Okay.
So like the 12-step program, for example,
Yep.
I saw some interesting themes kind of also surfaced in the Wayward.
Ooh, yeah.
And it's fascinating, right? Because I think you sort of mentioned this question, are these modalities factual?
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, yes, and in a lot of ways, no.
Okay.
And I think that is actually part of the reason why. Actually, let me back up a second. So there's a dramatization of those programs, which we see in Wayward and television and movies.
Yeah.
But then there's the actual practice of those programs, which do differ a little bit from how they're dramatized on screen. But for the most part, the dramatized version and the real version, they both operate under this sort of idea that there are therapeutic modalities and approaches that are drawn upon.
Yeah.
But then there's also a lot of abuse and control tactics that are also mismatched in there.
Right.
And so to find the therapeutic components of those programs,
Right.
and perhaps the creators of these programs would call them purely therapeutic or purely an intervention.
Right.
That is not always the case because they do rely on a lot of abuse, control, and dominance tactics.
And are those tactics that are part of the fabric of these modalities, or is that a misuse of these modalities?
Well, a lot of them rely on what are called behavioral interventions. So they rely on behavior change. And I guess there are a lot of, we could say, like theories and techniques that would inform different use of behavioral methods to create change. But we also have to also think about where else are those same tactics sort of used, right? They're used in cults also. So power and control, behavior change tactics can also be used in those settings as well. And so I also saw those themes really kind of coming up in the depiction, but also in the real practice of some of these programs. I want to just branch out and maybe also make another disclaimer. Not all these programs are harmful. Not all of these programs that exist today are wayward. Or tall pines, sorry.
Right.
And so not all of them use power and control tactics. So I don't want people watching this or listening to this to think that just because someone's a part of a residential program, that it means that it's automatically manipulative or controlling or abusive.
Right.
That is not the case. There are a lot of really good evidence-based programs out there that are effective and help and move people towards healing. I can think of a lot of really cool outdoor recreation programs that we have in Northern Canada, Northern Ontario.
Yeah, I have a friend who works for one.
That are effective and they're incredibly helpful and important for the people who need them and the people who access those programs.
Yeah.
We're talking about a very specific segment of residential treatment program that operate under this idea of being a school, but it functions more like a prison.
Yeah.
So it when these people haven't committed any crimes.
Right.
And so they're sent there often against their will, or there as a compulsory option, under some false pretenses, sort of like maybe they're
which
forced
is kind of
or
like
coerced.
the thread of of the series, right?
Yeah.
It's like one of them is sent there
Yeah.
under false pretenses.
But one of the big things that I see at the beginning, the outset, is
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of these programs also promise outcomes. So at the very beginning, they'll say, this is what you can expect when you participate in this program. And because they're privately accessed and they're paid for, often by families or private funders, that can be a really big incentive for the families who are stressed or the families who feel like they have no other options for accessing maybe an inpatient program or an outpatient program or even clinical practice. And so I think that oftentimes the people who find themselves there, and these programs are becoming less and less because we're sort of onto them in a way. At the same time, the people feel desperate, right? They feel like they really want the help and they feel like they need an option that maybe they haven't heard of or seen before. And so I think the marketing that goes into these programs often does fall into that same sort of idea there. And so when you think about like Tall Pines Academy and maybe just like this isn't a spoiler, but there is sort of a plot line, a through line in all the episodes that the community members have a really big stake in the school. This is a spoiler, so I'll just say it. Many of the community members are also former attendees of the school. And so I think about just how that allows it to operate and function kind of in that community. Sometimes these programs are so far out of these communities that they're unbeknownst to some of the communities, like how they actually operate. But this one is different in the way that the town of which it sort of is situated in is very familiar with the head of the school. They're familiar with a lot of the guards, and many of them are former, or all of them are former.
It's definitely that. That's where you can see like the cultness of it. It's that goes beyond the four walls of Tall Pines Academy. It actually extends beyond it.
The fascinating theme that I also saw too was that there's this sort of idea of secrets that are constantly floating throughout each episode. It's sort of like a who knows what or what is the real truth that is sort of playing out here, and is it really abusive and harmful? Or is it helpful and effective? I think that's a plot line that kind of runs through the episodes, which is kind of fascinating when you think about it just in a therapeutic kind of lens. I think about that in itself being a therapy theme, where a lot of therapy is an investigation. We're trying to figure out what is going to help this person and is it going to be effective? But the thing that I think differs and what's sort of fascinating to me is that all the townspeople, all the community members seem to be keeping the same secret. And I had this thought, like maybe episode 2 or 3, that I was sort of like, well, if everyone's keeping the same secret, then it's no longer a secret. And I don't really see how this, like who are they insulating this truth from?
Right.
Because it's not like there's like investigative reporters prior to maybe
Mae Martin's character.
Some people coming in. The outsiders. So that sort of lends me to believe that like this is their normal. This is how their society, their community just has functioned for such a long time. Which perhaps allows us to become unaware and maybe blind to the ways that these control and abuse tactics are actually harmful and not effective, because many of the community members feel like it helped them. And so they feel like it must help other people in that exact same way.
Well, we can kind of think of insular communities throughout the world that kind of live within these like self-defined bubbles in the name of like preserving tradition or preserving something. And they're oftentimes perhaps a little culty. Okay, wait. I do want to talk about, there are 3 specific like therapeutic techniques or things that are showcased in the show, and I kind of want to like name them, and I want you to fact check them or be like, what's actually happening here?
Cool.
So the 3 of them are, well, the first one in Tall Pines Academy, there's like this like hierarchy with like the kids, right? Like you're like kind of healed, you're super healed. Like they had words, like different levels for it. And if you like misbehaved, you went to mud, which was like, you know, because we all have to go back to like, you know, where we started kind of thing. The hierarchy control element of it, it sort of said like, you can be like promoted and demoted for rule breaking, losing privileges. And this system sort of incentivizes students to police one another, sowing mistrust and division. But that idea of sort of like creating not just like guards that police people, which would be kind of like in a prison system. In this one, it's actually what we see is like the main gal, Abby, her roommate is like literally the person who gets her in trouble the most
Yep.
because she's so like into the idea of like, ooh, I got to be part of the hierarchy.
Side note about Abby, phenomenal actress. I think she was such a good character.
Can you kind of talk about that? Like, what is the therapeutic approach to that? Because you can, like, why is Evelyn, for example, giving so much incentivized power to like troubled teens? What happens there? Like, what's the approach?
I think there's two things that come to mind. This is like a classic sticker chart. That is a behavioral approach that can be used to incentivize good behavior or positive pro-social behavior. And so that is sort of the system of itself, that through progression or through levels, you can get to the next stage and then get closer to graduation. And so that promise of you could become free or you could get out of here, essentially, by achieving these different levels, I think can inspire the behaviors that they're hoping to train into people. Obviously, these students are not animals. They're not dogs. Behavioral interventions are also used on animals, specifically the domesticated animals like dogs that we try to train, right, to behave the way we need them to or want them to. And the other thing that is used here resembles a lot like the Stanford Prison Experiment. Have you heard of this?
No, remind me.
The Stanford Prison Experiment, very quickly, is a group of PhD students were split in half.
Yeah.
Half of them became guards and half of them became prisoners. And so it became a study in social psychology on group dynamics and what happens. And I can't remember the length of how long it was supposed to go, but they had to terminate it at 6 days because it got way too real, way too quick. And so the guards starting to abuse their fellow classmates, the prisoners, because of the power that was bestowed upon them. And so what I saw there was a very Stanford Prison Experiment-esque thing. And in fact, at the time, that prison experiment was ethical and was legal to run. And now in psychology and psychological research, those types of studies are no longer considered ethical because of the groupthink and the psychological manipulation that can also, the real harm actually, that can occur in just an experimental setting. So this was not an experimental setting. It was a seemingly real life scenario.
Yeah.
And so that was what was happening there, is that the power of groupthink and group psychology, when you instill that into a group, that can really take over and create violence, harm, and a lot of manipulation tactics.
So this is not a healthy therapeutic thing. If you're running an academy or you're running an institution where the goal is to sort of help troubled teens access healing, this is not an effective modality.
Well, not when you bestow the higher ups with a certain power that can be abusive or controlling. When you bestow, the higher ups or in like a mentorship or a leadership role, that can of course be healthy, and we see that in schools all the time.
Right.
So yeah, I would say those are the two things playing out with that hierarchical structure.
Okay. What about the hot seat? There's an episode early on in the season where they do this, like, for me, I was like, that's weird. And it was this thing about like radical honesty.
Yeah, like attack therapy.
Yeah. Is that what attack therapy? Yes. So essentially, one kid goes in the middle of a circle and everyone takes turns being radically honest about what they feel about them or like something.
Or the truth about like maybe rumors and gossip that they
just
heard.
Anything. And it becomes very vicious, right? And it's very like, what the hell is going on? And Evelyn, Toni Collette's character, is just kind of like monitoring it, but not intervening.
Yeah, she stands off to the side and she puts the person in the room and says, okay.
In the hot seat.
Yep.
And then at the end, the weirdest part is that at the end of it, one of the kids obviously breaks and they all come in and give them a hug. And they all like thank the person for their radical honesty, even though it broke them. Can you talk about that? Is this a real therapy thing? A hot seat? Attack therapy? What is it? What's the intention behind it? What is like, because it obviously looked very vicious.
Yeah, incredibly harmful too. And especially when not done with safety and care, confronting the truth about ourselves, or maybe even getting that close to all of the honesty at once, can be incredibly harmful and painful, even traumatic. And therefore not healing. And so I think the fascinating component here is that this sort of suggests that truth telling and just telling people how it is somehow healing or getting people closer to that place of objective self-reflection so that they can create change.
Right.
It likely just creates more shame and blame and criticism, contempt, than it does create any of those things like compassion and care. It is also just, it's a rupture, right? And so there's no repair that happens there aside from a hug. And that is sort of supposed to suggest that a hug is going to make this all better. That is not a therapeutic intervention. That's not something that we do. We don't just call people out. We typically do that with a lot of compassion and care if it is to be done. And so sometimes brutally honest behavior or words can be more brutal than it is honest. And I think that's what we see here. Is we see the brutality in it, not necessarily the honesty that can come from this is what we see and this is how your behavior impacts us.
So is attack therapy a thing then?
It's not something I've heard about.
So this is like a dramatization.
Yeah, I think it probably absolutely is a practice probably employed in a lot of these harmful programs. Though I'm just saying I've not heard of it as something that is, it's never something that makes it into the therapy room. No.
At least, okay. So is there I wonder if, yes, it was vicious. The means of which that they did it was like, whoa, that's intense. But is there a thing about it being like, could it be capacity building in any way? Like, if the person who's in the hot seat is not used to honesty, or, the kid specifically that's in the center is a pathological liar, right? And we don't know why this kid is technically in, but he just lies a lot, right? And what is true and what is not. And everyone kind of takes a turn being like, you're a liar or whatever it may be. But is this part of like a capacity building so that this kid, for example, can handle the truth versus always having to fabricate a lie in order to sort of move through the world?
Well, let's talk about the structure of the exercise. There's actually no structure to the exercise aside from just letting kids dump on each other and I guess be really incredibly cruel and mean to each other. Right. Because they're not sitting them down. This isn't an intervention where they're saying, hi, your behavior has affected me in the following ways. Right. They're saying you're a messy B word, or you're saying you're a piece of crap. Or they're saying, well, you're
XYZ. Not nice.
You're XYZ. You can hear me like censoring
all the swears.
Well, you can hear me just censoring just like how brutal it actually is. And you can watch it on TV. But I think, again, if there was more structure to it, there is a way that a group format like that could be effective. And so that's borrowed from group therapy, where there is open sharing and there's a structure to it. Maybe there is some scripting involved. Things like, when you do X, it makes me feel Y. Or, so yeah, there could be a capacity building element to it if it was done with care and with a structure that was actually effective.
Right.
But this is just taking abusive tactics and moving it to a school. And moving it to a group setting. But these types of group tactics or harmful, mean tactics are used all the time to control people. And that doesn't necessarily lead to change.
Okay, so just for the interest of time, I do have one more that maybe we can tap onto, which is part of the biggest thing that this whole show tackles. Without spoiling too much, there's this thing called the leap. Which is like the final thing. But I kind of want to talk about repressed memory therapy and whether that is a thing, because throughout Evelyn kind of uses like hypnosis and like, I don't know, she like implants like not real memories into people who have experienced very traumatic things. Obviously there's like a fictionalization about all of that and there's an extreme, but I wonder at its core, is there a kind of like therapeutic element to someone who has experienced trauma, like to its purest form, about sort of like hypnosis or something to kind of help like, you know what I mean? Like dull the pain while we move towards healing. Like, is there something there about repressing these memories or replacing those memories with other things so we can function?
So there are many different therapeutic modalities, way too many alphabet soup ones that I just don't obviously have time to name.
What's A?
Repressed memory theory is not one that is an evidence-based tool, though it does draw on a lot of evidence-based methods. I think that probably where we see therapeutic modalities working is when there's a corrective emotional experience. And that is what RMT in the show is designed to do. Toni Collette's character is hoping to correct some of the emotional experiences that they've had. So whether that's helping them see that there is an adult that cares for them, which in this place is her, or whether that's to show them that there was another way to handle like the poor decision that they made, or in the really harmful examples, she also plants memories where she convinces people that they have intended to hurt or kill people that they were their loved ones, right?
Yeah.
So in any case, it brings back this major point, which is that there are certain therapeutic approaches that are effective. And I think this is a good example of how this one takes it too far, which is and obviously there are drugs involved in the LEAP process. And
There's psychedelics.
There's like other and sedatives. There are other layers to the actual depiction of the program, but in any case, the LEAP I think also signifies that promise of getting out and getting back into the real world, right?
Yeah.
And so many of these kids are also so desperate themselves also to resume life as it was before that they'll do anything per se. And so I think that's what we see here, especially with their participation in the LEAP, which again, this is a bit of a spoiler, but it is like the hidden level. Yeah. It's like the final chapter level that's not sort of on the board at the beginning.
Yeah, because it's a bit controversial.
You have to be invited into it. So it's an exclusive club, it seems. And so, in any case, go watch Wayward. It's such a good show. I think
interesting.
I think it has a lot of different levels to it, a lot of twists and turns. It's so unpredictable in the best way.
Yeah.
At every episode, I was like, I know what's going to happen, and I never knew what was going to happen. So I just think that's good writing, and it kind of keeps you on edge. So if you like that kind of stuff, then go check it out.
Yeah, go check out Wayward on Netflix.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a quick break, and we'll be
right back. Let's do it.
All right. We are so very back.
I got to adjust. Should I say it like this?
And now we are in the part of the program where we have moved to segment 2.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about something different. We're going to talk about this new identity that seems to be coming up. This by no means is like this isn't a diagnosis. This isn't an identity that professionals have assigned. This is a TikTok trend. This is designed by people who are noticing trends and patterns in culture, and then again, as we've we've assigned a name to it. And so this one is called the performative male. And just before we start, I wanted to give a bit of a definition. The performative male refers to a man who adopts progressive aesthetics and behaviors, like carrying tote bags, drinking matcha, wearing clogs, and and expressing feminist ideas as a performance to appear attractive or woke to others, particularly other progressive women they find attractive. The archetype is popularized on social media and often is seen as an exaggerated or insincere display, sometimes evolving from older trends like hipster or soy boys. While some of it may seem like a cynical tactic, others argue that it's a modern, albeit inauthentic attempt to move away from toxic masculinity.
Okay.
Yeah, so I find that to be a bit of an interesting dynamic here where there is this sort of, again, it's performative male, but there's now also a performative performance element to what it means to be a person who is a viable mate, like someone who they think that women might be interested in. Let's start here. Have you seen these people?
No, but the way that you described it, I'm like, oh, maybe I have come across people like this. And because, okay, wait, can I ask a question that might help me distinguish?
Yeah.
Do the performative males know that they're being performative? Like, do they know that they're putting on like a performance here?
No.
They think that they're trying their best to be progressive because they don't want to be toxic. But then it's coming off performative. But they're not aware that.
Well, I think the big piece, the performative element, is that it's inauthentic. This isn't who they would be if, let's say, trends or society or culture didn't sort of like push them into that box, right? And so I think it is, if just upon first analysis, like I think this is the male response to this bigger question of like, okay, if toxic masculinity is bad in very black and white terms, I don't want to be a bad toxic male. So I have to be the different kind of male who reads poetry and literature, and I can go on a date and seem progressive by talking about all the self-help books that I've read.
Yeah.
Right.
I
And
talk
so
about Brene Brown.
no, so listen, so you'll see these guys carrying like The Body Keeps the Score in a tote bag to a date. And kind of being like, and this is the book that I love reading.
Yeah.
Or they'll like, have their matcha tea.
Yeah.
And again, they're like clogs out
They're
for
clogs.
a stroll.
They're wooden clogs.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, question for you. How much of this is just them trying to not, like, isn't that a good thing that they're trying not to be toxic? Like, isn't that a good thing?
Yes, but I think the concern here is that there's now a new archetype. So there's now a new brand of guy that a lot of these guys seem to fall into. I kind of do see it as sort of similar to like a bro. That it's a different version of being a man and manhood.
Yeah.
But it's just like not all the bros want to be bros, you know?
Yeah.
So they have to have another costume to put on.
Right.
We're all born naked and the rest is drag.
Correct.
Mother has said that. And so I think this is the costume, the drag that guys are putting on in order to, I think, attract mates.
Right.
This seems to be this like, what is the costume that I have to wear in order to get girls or to appear like a viable option to be a good partner or husband.
So the inauthenticity about it is the thing that people are kind of harping about. They're not harping about the fact that these are men who are trying to not be toxic and harmful. They're kind of harping on them for being performative in a way where it's like, you're only doing this because it's cool to do this versus you genuinely believe these things. Or, when push comes to shove, you're actually going to stand up and like defend the things when it matters, not when it just looks good.
Yeah. So some circles, even some like online videos that I've been watching about this are sort of saying this is a bit of like a wolf in sheep's clothing sort of thing where it's a lot of toxic men who are dressing up as this sort of character and sort of putting on this role. And then upon getting to know them, the sheep's clothing comes off and what is revealed underneath is that at the end of the day, they're just a guy.
Okay.
And someone who isn't necessarily practicing what they're preaching.
So there's no like it's just a cosmetic change. There's no like real systemic change.
I think so, but I do, let's back it up a second. I do think that there, to your earlier point, like are a lot of people who are doing this with good intentions. I don't think anyone is putting on the sheep's clothing and being like, haha, underneath I'm a wolf.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people are saying, okay, I want to be progressive in 2020 blank.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people are sort of feeling like, okay, well, how do I do that? I want to become educated. I want to appear smart. I want to have an aesthetic that sort of lends itself to this maybe notion that I'm chill and like I don't care and I'm relaxed.
Yeah.
But also I take things seriously. And so I don't take myself seriously. So I'll just sort of like wear these like comfy clothing, but then I'll also take these issues very seriously.
Right.
So I don't know. I personally, my own opinion on it is that I just see it as another way that we as people respond to culture, respond to who do we think we have to be rather than who are we actually at our core. I guess I'm just saying like, I don't think many guys would actually choose this if it didn't come with some social reward.
Right. Okay. So you're a little like, I'm a little sus about this.
Only because like I think there's the fashion element,
Yeah.
which I actually don't think is the problem at all. Different generations have different fashion choices.
Right.
I think it's more just the collection of all those things together. If you can kind of create a mood board about a certain type of person, I just have concerns about that.
Right.
And I just see like that sort of blueprint getting replicated over and over and over again. And I just find that interesting.
But so many people do that.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like there's so many things now that I see where I'm like, oh, this isn't just like an interest. This is like a whole like aesthetic that you built for yourself.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. Like you think and operate like the gays do this all the time. It's literally just copy and paste and it's all the same. We're all shades of the same people sometimes.
Yep.
And you're kind of like, ooh.
I guess that is the practice I'm calling into question a bit is the copy and paste nature of it. I'm kind of like, where are you in there? Like, is that really you?
Yeah.
And
so I guess I can see like where people have umbrage with these men.
Professor?
Professor.
Yeah.
Who
yeah.
who you may or may not know
Yeah.
who that is.
Yeah.
I guess, okay, is this, I can see two sides of this, right? Like I can see the people who have to interact with these performative males, right?
Yeah.
And how they can kind of get a little frustrated with the disingenuousness of it, where it's like, okay, but you're just signed up for the aesthetic or like the way that it allows you to kind of float through this world without having to be under fire because you're coming off as this progressive male. Do you actually believe in these things, like, or whatever? But then I also see the men being like, well, what do you want from me? You don't want me to be toxic. You don't want me to be progressive. What do you want from me?
Totally.
I can also hear some
Which
men,
is so common, by the way. That is what is happening.
I can also hear men being like, it's so hard being a man right now.
Yeah.
And to those men, I sure. Perhaps it's just your tolerance of not being.
Yeah, it's new.
It's new to you. So don't blame the people who are suddenly getting systemic support. Like it has nothing to do about taking away yours and giving it to another group of people.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to do with that. Mm-hmm. It's just your tolerance is so low. You don't know what it's like to be on the margins.
I think that's true for sure. I also just like maybe in the most simplest terms, like I would just sort of call into question, like what makes it so hard to be yourself that you need to be something or someone else.
Yeah.
And I also want to live in a world where we can say, okay, Chad, you didn't actually like reading The Body Keeps the Score, so stop pretending.
Yeah.
Like, why are you carrying that around if you don't actually care what's inside or care to apply what's inside? Yeah. And so that's sort of the question that I sort of carry is like, why can't you just be yourself?
Are men
just be who you are?
But I think about that, but like, are men growing up, are boys and men trained or pushed to think about that, to self-reflect, to think about, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, like all I can think about is like me being like a little gay boy. I remember in every single classroom that I walked into, I scanned it for safety.
Yeah, I have to be like,
and then I would have to code switch, from my youngest years. And I don't know if like straight boys had that experience. I'm sure they've had like an experience where they felt different or weird.
But you're right. For the most part, the self-reflection piece isn't built into their experience.
Yeah. So
it sort of has to be like invited or it has to be taught.
So like, I mean, if we all swim in the waters of heteronormativity and patriarchal societies, like men will be affected by it too, right? Negatively as well as positively. But I think about those men who are trying to like find their place in this world that doesn't make sense to them.
I think but that's the bean soup conversation though. This isn't about that. I don't think this is about the people who are genuinely interested in those things and genuinely show up in the way that was described. I think that if it's authentic, then it's not performative, right? And if this is
how do you know if it's like if you've never had to think this way, if you've never had to like be challenged in a way, if you've never had to like walk into a room and explain why you're there and why you're dressed this way or why you look this way or why you think this way or why you talk this way, if you've never had to do that in your life and you're doing it for the first time ever.
I'm just saying, performative or not, we hear those stories from men that say it's hard to be a man. And I'm just saying, I don't think it's unique to this archetype of person. And I'm just saying that I just think that there are people who do authentically embody characteristics that are described and are doing that willingly and genuinely and authentically and with really good intentions. Yeah. But this isn't about that. This is about the people who put on that aesthetic because they think it's a currency, that it will get them somewhere, that it will sort of say, oh, these are the clothes or these are the interests or these are the hobbies or these are the beverages that I need to drink and read and carry in order to get access to either like women who are smart or women who are attractive. So I think that's more what this performative male section archetype is really about. I think there are just people online who are calling into question the true intentions of some of the people who behave that way. As a side note, what you're saying, I think is, I agree with everything you're saying. I just think that probably there are many people who fit into the category of it's really hard to be a guy, so how do you want me to show up then? regardless of this maybe practice.
Yeah.
And so I think that I do think that we can have two conversations at once though, where
Let's have them at the same time.
One,
Ready? Let's
two,
just keep
three.
talking.
So anyway, blah, blah,
I
blah, blah, blah.
absolutely
Yeah, blah, 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 blah.
love chocolate.
And I the question I do have, just because I work with a lot of young people and specifically men, I do see that there is that question that comes into therapy spaces, sort of question of who am I? And I think that's a common question developmentally, and that's specifically because I work with younger people, but we look to culture and people around us all the time to see the mirror or see our reflection. But I really fully agree with your point around men and boys, like not really given permission or given the experience or given the nudge to self-reflect. So I see all that noted.
So the performative male thing of it all is just like another
Pendulum swing. Yeah. It's another extreme.
but
I
it's
think.
not authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's another sort of version of this. Yeah. That bigger question. Well, then who should I be? Tell me what costume to put on and I'll do it, because if that's going to make people like me or
Yeah.
get me a date, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's that black and white. So here we are in this weird world of TikTok where people are creating these identities and slapping labels on people and saying, this is who you are. And so I think the downside to it is that it also, I think, makes a lot of women, and these are very strict binary terms, like it can also make people really hypervigilant and be on the lookout for all these little markers, right? It's like, oh, he's carrying the book. He's carrying the book of the performative male. I shouldn't talk to him.
Yeah.
Or he's carrying a tote bag. Uh-oh, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
And so again, I just think it's such bad faith, right? To just create these like really false equivalencies and say all tote wearing and book carrying guys are bad. So again, I just think it's another way to point fingers and spot problems that aren't necessarily inherently there unless they are explicitly problems.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Wrapping
it up on the performative male.
Anyway, we're wrapping it. We went.
Yeah.
Oh, Simon went off a little bit.
I love when she goes
Or
off.
nor.
Pop off, girl.
No, I guess I just I guess I just think of like cause and effect.
Yeah.
Right? So we talk about something called performative male, but then I can also maybe I just hear the maybe the men that listen or the girlfriends that are listening that are getting their boyfriends to listen, right?
Yeah.
Like I just
like, oh my gosh, I'm dating one.
I'm dating one right now. But I guess I just hear or I see a rise when we're talking about performative male. I guess I also see a rise of men struggling to find their place, and therefore they're latching on to these like hyper masculine toxic things, which are almost like the anti-performative male. They're going like the opposite. Yeah. And I just feel like it's these like coats that we men just maybe keep trying on. And it's like,
it's that I say join the club. Yeah. It's hard for all of us out here.
Yeah. But, but it's, I think the unique thing that I think I was trying to get to was that different communities, different groups of people have been doing this work for a very long time, earlier on in their lives than some others, depending on where you are in the world and race, background, all of those things. And I guess this maybe just is like a hot button thing because now we have language to talk about it, but like,
or do we though? But maybe that's not actually.
But maybe that's also what I'm struggling with, which I'm like, but this doesn't solve anything.
Does the shoe really fit? I don't know.
I don't know. Anyways, whatever. I'm just getting cheese fries. I don't even work here.
Yeah,
honestly, the door was just open. I just wandered in. And
why am I sitting here? This
what's
is
happening?
So awkward.
Wait, is this a camera?
Holy, I have never needed to be out of somewhere so bad.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that we got to get out of there.
You know what? I'm glad we went there. It only took us, a couple episodes to get to this. It's inevitable. It's going to happen.
To get there, it's the curtain.
It's the curtain.
It's the curtain. And for those who know, go see.
See the curtain.
We're on YouTube.
Thread the needle.
Listen, so
connect Wayward to the performative male.
I have to say, I do think that any time that we are not acting in alignment with ourselves, whether that is we are in a situation in a community where we have to blindly adopt all the practices that we're told are true or the things that we think are helpful, or it's the identities and the clothes that we put on our back. I think to me, the big theme here is you have to find your own voice and you have to be your own person. And in a world that I think is really moving towards this like hyper individualistic culture, I think that is becoming a pressure and also a necessity at the same time. I think that probably where we're at right now, many are feeling this sort of idea of like, I need to stand out and be unique. But this isn't an aesthetic and a clothing that you put on. This is inner work. This is internal stuff. And so to be yourself is not to be the most unique person in the room. It's not the person with the coolest hair or the coolest clothes or the tote bag, whatever. It's the person who has done their own inner work. And we, of course, want to avoid the really harmful ways of doing that in the groups that we talked about. And we also want to be able to come closer to ourselves individually. That's that on that. Slow clap.
I would not have been able to thread that. So thank God you're here.
Listen, okay, at the end of every episode.
At the end of every episode, and especially this episode,
we come on up.
We need to kind of come up for air because sometimes we go a little too deep. We spelunk too far into the therapy theme.
Yeah.
So we here at the This Isn't Therapy Studios love therapy. We think it's great. But sometimes everyday humanity, everyday humans, we sometimes face everyday dilemmas. So we believe that, you know what, sometimes you don't actually have to bring every single problem to therapy. Sometimes you just need to talk it out with a friend. So
without further ado,
asking
for a friend.
Cue the music.
All right, so I will reach my hand in here and pull out our question.
Yeah.
And it goes like this. I muted one of my friends on Insta, and now I'm questioning if I should tell them to calm down on posting or not. I kind of got caught red-handed when they asked me about something they posted, and they said, "Didn't you see on my story?" And I kind of fumbled. All right.
Wait.
There's no asking. There's no question that was asked. However, I can maybe thread the needle once more. I think the question is more about,
seamstress.
I think the question is, again, we have a do I say something? I think we need a segment that's just do I say something?
Should I say something?
Yeah, because should I say something? Or what would you do here in this scenario?
What, me?
Yeah.
I would, do I have, I think, like, do I have friends muted? I have people that I follow that I have muted just because they post too much.
Let me just backtrack. They actually did ask a question. And it says, now I'm questioning if I should tell them to calm down on posting or not. That was the question. That was asked.
Should I tell them to just calm down, or should I just use the tool of muting where I don't have to actually have the conversation with my friend? What am I in the camp of? If they're a really good friend, I would say, hey, can you like just calm down just a little bit? You're posting quite a bit. If they're just kind of like an acquaintance or like someone you see every now and then, I would just leave them on mute.
Cool. I think I would say let them. Mel Robbins, let them.
Let them what?
Personally, I don't subscribe to the let them theory for many reasons. Maybe we should have done a few episodes about that.
I let them.
However, I think this is one of those situations where I'm like, let them be who they want to be on social media.
Let them post 4 times a day.
Let them represent themselves. If you have to mute them, absolutely that is within your power. If you need to set that limit and that boundary, then go do it, Martha. Go do it, Brenda. Go do it, Tammy. Go do it, Lisa. Go do it, everyone else.
Come on, Tanya.
Yes.
Do it.
Just do it. Like, do what makes you happy.
Just mute.
Mute it if you need to. But I don't necessarily think you need to bring that into the friendship.
No.
Unless it's like impacting. Unless she's like posting about you.
Yeah.
Unless she's like posting personal information about.
She's doxing.
Yeah. Like if people are posting like, I don't know. Personally, I sort that into the category of like, maybe we can reflect first on why that bothers us. Maybe you ask yourself like, why is this affecting me so much?
What, that you muted?
No, that I want to tell them to stop posting so much. I'm just wondering.
No, I think they wanted to tell them because it got caught. Because their friend who they muted said, well, didn't you see it on my story? And I think they fumbled and they went like,
Well, no, they asked they asked about, I'm questioning whether or not I should tell them.
But they were caught. That's why.
I'm questioning if I should tell them to calm down on posting. Personally, I don't think that is the angle. The entry point to that conversation isn't to tell people how much or how little to post on social media.
Okay.
I think the question is more kind of like, if you get caught, you might want to actually first figure out, do I want to be honest with this person? No, I have you blocked, sir.
Yeah. No, I have you muted.
No, I muted you actually.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. That's what I think this person is asking, because they were caught.
But they said, should I tell them to stop posting as much? I think it's different than being like, should I tell you that I have you muted?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the answer is no for me, both
ways. Yeah.
What about you?
Well, it's what I said. Weren't you listening?
Well, it sounds like you have some nuance to explore.
No. I don't know. I don't think I do. I think it's literally just.
You said that if you were close, you would like say.
I said
something.
if we were close,
Yeah.
I would just be like, no, I actually have you muted. LOL.
So then why
Like
don't
you've
you?
been posting quite a bit.
So why haven't you done that with me?
Because I don't have you muted.
But do you think I post much?
No.
Okay.
Do you?
No.
I don't think you post at all.
No.
You're pretty absent right now.
No.
Yeah. I'm very much I post something and then I just run away. Like I'm not actually super active in the in-between times.
Can I make a prediction just as we wrap up?
Sure.
I think in the next 5 years, social media is going to be lame sauce.
You think so?
I do.
Ooh, I can't wait.
I think that there's going to be an era where we look back and say, why did we post all of those pictures and stories of what we were doing at every moment of the day? I think it's going to become the next Facebook album where we look back and be like, why did we post 45 pictures of the night last night?
Yeah.
I think we're going to get that treatment on social media, on Grid, on stories.
Wow.
I think there'll be a pretty common practice where the boomers, or like when we become the boomers age, we're going to be like, back in my day, we used to post on social media, and the kids are going to be like, what? Why? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
And I think we might even be like the Facebook moms who are also still posting on Instagram when we're 50 and it's no longer cool.
Oh my God, I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
That's going to be phenomenal. Well, speaking of, until that happens,
Yeah.
make sure you follow us at every single social media online thing, because we are absolutely everywhere. The YouTube, the Instagram, the TikTok. We do it all. So thank you so much to the lovely listeners for being here today. We love it. We love you.
We do it all.
This has been so much fun being back. So make sure you follow This Isn't Therapy wherever you listen or wherever you watch. Give us a like, a subscribe, a comment, whatever it may be. And listen, if you want to submit for asking for a friend, Jake, where do they go do that?
Oh my gosh, you go to the link in our bios. You go to the bio link and then you click it and you submit the question and you type it into the box and then we read it.
Oh, quelle surprise!
But if that is challenging, if that is hard, we'll help you out. Send us a DM.
Yes.
If the story doesn't fit, put it in the DM.
I mean, it should, but...
It should, but anyway.
It should, but anyways. That's it for now. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye, stars.
This isn't therapy.
You need your own outro. Say something else. Oh.